This is The Joe Gaither Show on BamaCentral.com.
Good afternoon, Tuscaloosa, Internet World, West Alabama. How are you doing today? This is The Joe Gaither Show. It's Monday, April 22nd. We're wrapping up the month of April. Hope you and yours had a great weekend. And this is The Joe Gaither Show. You're watching us on BamaCentral.com. You can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, Amazon as well. Subscribe, rate, and review the show. You can find me on any social media platform that you like at Joe Gaither6 and connect with me right there on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Snapchat, whatever you like, TikTok. Right there at Joe Gaither6. So we're going to have a fun Monday. Hopefully you guys want to jump in and join us. You can give us a comment, question, query, and complaint right there at Joe Gaither6. We're going to talk a lot about roster management on both the Alabama football side and the Alabama basketball side. We're going to talk about the NFL draft on Thursday. We will briefly maybe hit on the Diamond Sports just really briefly as they had some disappointing results over the weekend. But then we're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap it up by talking off the wall, out of the Alabama stratosphere by talking about this past weekend's Ryan Garcia and Devin Hanney fight. But that'll be at the very, very, very end. Let's talk and get it started by talking about, let's leave it with football first. So Alabama gets a player out of the transfer portal, Graham Nicholson, on Sunday night. And you're like, okay, great. You need Graham Nicholson. That's funny. I just went to his page at Miami of Ohio, and his page is already 404. So he has been removed from the Miami of Ohio Redhawks roster, and he officially committed to the Crimson Tide last night. You say, who is Graham Nicholson? And why do we want him? Graham Nicholson was the Lou Groza Award winner last year for the Miami of Ohio Redhawks place kicker, and he's here. He's coming to Tuscaloosa to replace Will Reichert. And maybe on the surface level, I guess when we finished spring practice, we didn't really talk about kicker being in need, being in an area that Coach Kalen DeBoer would address. But obviously, it was a need in his eyes, and he addressed it with, "Hey, let's go get last year's best college kicker." Alabama fans have been spoiled. Alabama fans have been spoiled for the last 5 years with Will Reichert. Will Reichert, it was his freshman or sophomore season where he didn't miss a single kick. I mean, his consistency was really otherworldly, off the chart. He's obviously the NCAA's all-time leading scorer. Playing 5 years at the University of Alabama will do that for you. But you also have to be extremely consistent. I mean, not only just extra points, but field goals as well. It seemed like only a couple times Will Reichert struggled from deep. What do we see in A-Day? We saw one puny field goal make. It was close. It was like 30 yards. Let me pull up the A-Day tracker. That A-Day. Let me pull up that A-Day stat sheet that they sent out. Let's see. How do I get the history right there? History right there. A-Day. It was 2 field goals, correct? One was made and one was missed. Thank you guys. This is really great. Right there. A-Day updates. Thank you. Field goal. FG. Yeah, so 27-yard make by Reed Schuback. He's still on the roster. And you had a 23-yard make from Upton Belafont, who's still on the roster. And then Connor Talty missed a little bit longer kick. It's not listed here how long it was. But you had 3 guys, and they all kicked. But I wasn't impressed by any of them. I know Connor Talty was on scholarship to be the kicker last season until Will Reichert changed his mind. Thankfully, he changed his mind to come back to school and use his COVID year and thus set the NCAA record. You basically, it may not be a 1-for-1 swap. You look at Graham Nicholson's numbers. He was 17 of 17 inside 40 yards last season. His only miss came from 40 to 49 yards. He made 1 kick over 50 yards last season, 52 yards against who was it? I saw against Bowling Green last season. So only 1 kick from beyond 50 yards. It was 52 yards. That's his career long. And he made 35 of 37 extra points. So is it someone to go out and, hang a new banner over and celebrate and on Twitter and social media? No, not really. It's a kicker. Are kickers really people? Are kickers really football players? But you need them. You absolutely need them on your team, and you absolutely need to have a reliable one. And to lose Will Reichert and to go out and get Graham Nicholson, I mean, Coach Kalen DeBoer called the kicking competition an open competition through the spring, and I think that was a little bit of a surprise to me, just because of Connor Talty's, pedigree coming out of high school, coming out of Chicago, was a highly recruited kicker, came to Alabama on scholarship, and I think, would have been the kicker last season had Will Reichert not made his decision to return to school. So I was expecting Connor to just step right into that role, honestly. But sounds like that has not really occurred in practice. And Graham Nicholson comes into Tuscaloosa to join the open kicker competition. I guess it's still technically a competition. The four guys will get into fall camp: Graham Nicholson, Connor Talty, Upton Belafont, and Reed Schuback. And the four of them, I guess, will try to kick it out. What does that do, though, for Alabama? The scholarship numbers are interesting. I think that Alabama's right on that 85. Actually, I think bringing Caden Proctor and Graham Nicholson, I think it gives Alabama 87 scholarships. Now, granted, some guys with NIL may not be on scholarship. You never know. What things have changed really with the NIL sphere. It was a whole lot easier to count who was on, who was off scholarship before NIL. I think there's a couple in-state guys that may not be getting a true scholarship, but maybe having their school taken care of. So Alabama is right on the line, and you're looking into the transfer portal. Well, we already knew that you were trying to get a cornerback. You already thought you were going to get into the offensive line room and find somebody from the offensive line room. Greedy Vance, the Florida State cornerback, committed today to Southern California. Greedy Vance was one of the guys on Alabama's radar. He went in the transfer portal from Florida State. He was contacted by Alabama, but ultimately today decides that he's going to end up with Southern Cal. And Southern Cal, they're loading up out there. They got some players. I know they've lost some players as well, but so Alabama, you're still looking for additions. You got a lineman out of Clemson who's gone into the transfer portal, an interior offensive lineman who has connections to Chris Kapilovich, Alabama's new offensive line coach. So you wonder, okay, is that a connection that you're going to exploit and fill another body in the offensive line room? The transfer portal has been interesting because it opened up, on the 15th and the 16th. You've been open for roughly a week now? Yeah, roughly a week, and you've got roughly another week and change. Next Wednesday, it closes, May 1st. And so Alabama hasn't seen a whole lot of guys go in. Really, nobody has gone in from a scholarship perspective. You've seen several walk-ons go into the transfer portal, and you wish all those walk-ons very, very well. Hope they go find scholarships and playing time and superstardom at other schools. Absolutely. Thank you so much for the work that you did here at the Capstone, the thankless work that you did here at the University of Alabama. But yeah, nobody really going into the portal yet from the football side of things. You've gotten two guys. Technically one, technically two, but I guess Caden Proctor was already in the bag. Caden Proctor, and on Sunday, Graham Nicholson jumps into Alabama from the transfer portal by way of Miami of Ohio. So Alabama replaces Will Reichert with Graham Nicholson, last year's Lou Groza Award winner. I would say, if you need a kicker, well done, Kalen DeBoer, going into the portal and getting last season's top kicker in the country. Kalen DeBoer can't recruit? Very clearly, it seems like he can. Let's keep going, and let's transition to basketball, because the basketball team got a huge recruit, a huge commitment on Saturday in Aiden Holloway. You guys remember Aiden Holloway from the Iron Bowl of basketball, played Alabama twice. Let me see, what were his numbers in those games? Aiden, A-D-E-N, Holloway, stats. Let's see. What were your numbers in those two Alabama games, buddy? Five-star player out of the Georgia area, right? Out of Charlotte, North Carolina, excuse me. Full game logs right there. McDonald's All-American. Let's see these two Alabama games. What did you do? Obviously, he started off the season very, very well with Auburn, but faded down the stretch. Okay, so you've got this game and that game. Points are right there. 2 points here in Tuscaloosa, 6 points over in Neville Arena. And this was kind of around the time where his season was kind of starting to go into the tank a little bit. Aiden Holloway comes to Alabama to basically be your not starting point guard, but probably your second string point guard behind either Mark Sears or a transfer portal player, maybe the kid out of Virginia Tech who's visiting Alabama here shortly. But yeah, my man's against Alabama. Where's your assist? 3 assists on the road game and just 1 on the home game. And turn the ball over just the one time at Alabama. Lots of the social media machines have gone crazy over the weekend because, oh my gosh, you leave Auburn for Alabama. Oh man, it just lights the fuel to the fire of the Iron Bowl rivalry. Am I happy from the Alabama perspective? Absolutely. You get a guy who was highly thought of out of high school and clearly struggled in the Auburn system this year. And I just want to talk about Aiden Holloway. Some of his comments to my friend Brett Greenberg at 24/7 Sports. He covers recruiting for 24/7 Sports, and he told Brett Greenberg that what's the line? Let's see. Aiden Holloway sold a dream by my coach, and that coach it was obviously Bruce Pearl. Sold a dream by my coach, and you kind of put 2 and 2 together. We talked about Bruce Pearl's comments earlier in the year during SEC play, where he talked about his players. Oh, we got too many guys shooting. You got too many guys taking too many shots. We need some guys to stop shooting. And a lot of people might have thought that was a shot at Katie Johnson, who transferred to George Mason. And maybe it was, but Aiden Holloway was clearly a part of that. We need guys to shoot less comment. Why do you say that? Because Aiden Holloway went from 6 3-point shots a game to 3 3-point shots a game. And now look, he wasn't a great 3-point shooter. Was it 30% from 3? Field goal percent. Effective, 30.2% from beyond the arc. So not great, but not horrible, but not great. We talked about it in the springtime. Bruce Pearl talked about, we need guys to shoot less. Basically reduced what Aiden Holloway was as a player. And okay, yes, the shooting was not necessarily his strong point, but I think when you're in a player's head, hey, we need you to be less aggressive. Hey, you have less of a green light. You have more of a yellow light. You have more of a mixture. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's red. You got to figure that out. I think that messes with the player's confidence, and I think it messes with the player's ability, and I think it messes with what you see on the court. And Aiden Holloway, I think, was a good example of that. I think that he was having a pretty decent season. I mean, look, he goes 19 points in their opener against Baylor, 15 against Notre Dame, 24 points against Indiana. So, pretty good in non-conference play. 15 points against USC when Bronny James came to town. But ever since then, when the calendar turned to conference play, 5 against Arkansas, 6 against A&M. Yeah, he went double digits against LSU and Vanderbilt and Georgia, but those are 3 of the worst teams in the conference. So his confidence clearly dipped when SEC play started. Was part of it because Auburn didn't test themselves in the non-conference the same way that some other schools did? Maybe you could. I think that argument's valid, absolutely. But then obviously life gets tougher when you get into SEC play. The conference doing fairly well for itself, representing itself fairly well nationally. Aiden Holloway comes to Alabama, and I think that you need to expect him to be a little bit of a project. Not so much of a project that Nate Oates can't salvage him and make him into a really good player. I think he will make him into a very strong player. But the difference, Nate Oates is going to basically encourage him to shoot. He's going to encourage him to be aggressive. He's going to encourage him to get downhill and get to the cup. Really, with Bruce Pearl's system, look. The difference, Nate Oates and Bruce Pearl. Nate, let him fly. Fire him up. Shoot the 3-point shots. I think Nate has it pretty well defined where the shots can come from. And if you are in those areas and you have an open look, you need to let it go. I think that in that definition, when they determine that definition, Joe Gaither, he can shoot from the elbow wing. That's his green light spot. But he can't shoot from the corner. This is hypothetical. I think you've got it pretty well mapped out and defined where these players shoot at their highest efficiencies. And because of that, and because it's well coached into the team, hey, Mark Sears, you shoot really well from these spots. You don't shoot as well from that spot. Let's get you to the spots that accentuate your talents on the floor and allow you to shoot many, many times because you're a good shooter. I think Aiden Holloway will I think it'll be more organized. I think it'll be more organized in the prep work, in the, hey, this kid is really good at the rim. This kid is okay around the arc. Some of the spots are better than others. Look, I think that they're really going to address his shooting motion, build his confidence through the summer. Because through the summer, it's going to be all green lights. Shoot from everywhere. We just want to chart you. We just want to chart you and see where you shoot best from. And then once it starts getting into the fall, the school year, all right, we'll start to kind of devise a little bit more of a specific, more tailored game plan for you. I think Aiden Holloway is going to have a green light, one of the greenest of green lights, when he's on the floor this coming season for Alabama. Now, what is it going to mean for Alabama? They still got to get a point guard. You still have to go out and have a point guard for next year's roster. I think there's a pretty decent chance that point guard is named Mark Sears. Mark Sears, last week declares he's going into the NBA draft and leaving his college eligibility open with the opportunity to return. Jeff Goodman, I believe he works for the Field of 68 at the moment, but Jeff Goodman late last week, coming out and saying that he thinks Mark Sears is going to come back to school unless he's unless he gets guaranteed money, which is roughly a top 40 pick in the NBA. You get guaranteed money in the first round, and then the first, 5 to 10 players in the second round have that opportunity to negotiate for guaranteed money. We saw that with Herb Jones and the New Orleans Pelicans when they drafted Herb Jones in the second round. So really, you're looking at a top 40 draft pick for Mark Sears. And will he be that? Look, the draft is weak. The draft is not very good. So because of that, Mark Sears is one of your better, more quality players. Is Mark Sears an NBA player? I think he still has. I still think he has steps to take I think he has steps to take to show that he's an NBA player. Show he's capable of being an NBA player. He's absolutely capable of being in the NBA when you just evaluate his shooting alone. I mean, his shooting stroke, boom, you can find a place for him in the league. The issue with him is on the defensive end and on kind of really the strength issue. And you saw that sometimes through this year. Now, back half of the year, really, really, really bought into the defensive side of the floor. I think when the team saw, hey, our leader, Mark Sears, is defending, I think it ramped up everyone else's intensity down the stretch. So can Mark be a top 40 pick? Yes, because I think the draft is very, very weak. But look, I think it's more likely I think it's more likely that Mark Sears returns to school in this situation just due to really his kind of stature in the look, you go to the NBA right now. Are you going to be the 42nd pick and not get guaranteed money? You could. Are you going to be the 38th pick and not get guaranteed money? You could. Or do you look, the draft evaluation is going to be huge for Mark Sears. If he gets you're definitely a first round draft pick. Well, sorry, Mark Sears is going to be gone, and we're going to be watching Mark Sears in the G League / on two-way contracts or on he's going to be in the league somewhere developing if he's a first round pick. If he's not a first round pick, though, I think that there's better than 50% chance. If he's not a first round pick, I think there is a better than 50% chance that he returns to Alabama. Now, I've been told, or rumors have been flying about numbers and offers to Mark Sears, and the rumors and numbers are very healthy. Now, the rumors, I don't want to put them out there because I can't really determine, how true they are. Oh, is Mark Sears really getting offered $800,000 to come back? I don't really know, but that seems to be the smoke, the rumors. 800, 850, somewhere in that range for Mark Sears. Now, that could be total hooey. But it's just what I've been kind of hearing, that maybe that he's getting a pretty healthy offer to return. And shoot, you absolutely want him back. You bring him back and you look at Alabama's roster. Look, you look at it right now and you got, roughly 2 spots. You have 1, 2, or 3 spots remaining on this roster, depending on what Mark Sears and Grant Nelson end up doing. When I look at the Alabama basketball roster, I basically, in my brain, I'm penciling in pencil Mark Sears to return. And I'm penciling maybe a little bit more in pen that Grant Nelson has gone on to the NBA or gone on to professional opportunities. Could I be wrong on both? 100,000. Yes, anything could change with both those guys. They both could end up in the draft. They both could end up returning to school, or opposite. Mark Sears could go to the draft and Grant Nelson returns. But when I have the roster breakdown on my own sheet, I have Mark Sears staying and I have Grant Nelson leaving. And what does that mean for Alabama? That means that Alabama has 2 spots remaining. 2 spots remaining to utilize the transfer portal as wisely as you can. And as you're looking, like, okay, with the premise that Mark Sears is returning, what do you got to do? You got to go get some big men. You've got to ensure that Clifford Amari, this Rutgers center, this coming up weekend, when he comes to the capstone for his visit, he doesn't leave. He doesn't leave Tuscaloosa. Whatever you got to do, he does not leave Tuscaloosa without saying, I'm committed to play basketball at the capstone. Because Clifford Amari could be really, you watch Infinity Wars, you watch whatever Endgame where Thanos drops the final jewel into his gauntlet and everything goes crazy in the movie. Cliff Amari, you get yourself a really, really quality defensive stopper in the middle. What do you do with the roster? Aiden Sherrill becomes your number 2 and comes off the bench. Muhammad Wagib becomes your number 3 center and basically plays in special situations and or foul trouble. You don't thrust Aiden Sherrill into, hey, man, you're 6'11", but you're a baby. You're a freshman. You're a child, and now you've got to play big boy college basketball. You want to save him from that. You want to let him develop a little bit. I do think he's going to be a good player, but if you are able to get Cliff Amari or plan B, Jonas Adu out of Tennessee, then you're able to slow play the development of Aiden Sherrill a little bit, and you're able to put him out there when he's ready rather than relying on him as a freshman. I think that's a huge thing for Alabama. Now, you get Mark Sears back, and boom, you've got not only veteran, but you've got great quality at the point guard position and at the center position. 2 of the most important places in basketball. Oh, March is all about the guards. Well, bam, you're probably going to have one of the best guards in the country, if not the best guard in the country, if you can get Mark Sears back. You keep working. You got Latrell Wrightsell on the 2. You just see this team coming together so nicely. If Clifford Amari commits to Alabama this coming up weekend, I think that is a huge target for the Crimson Tide this coming up weekend. He visited Georgetown this past weekend, and you don't know what he's looking for NIL wise, but you got to think that that's part of it. Maybe you compare Clifford. You compare Clifford to what Omar Mbalo, who went to Indiana. Rumors suggest that Indiana paid Mbalo $1.2 million. I don't see Alabama paying Cliff Amari $1.2 million. I don't know if that's really even in Alabama's neighborhood. Obviously, Mbalo went to Indiana pretty quickly, so they ponied up a lot of money for him to do that, leave Arizona for Indiana. He's off the table. I don't think that's the same money, but I do think Alabama's going to have to come pretty strong. And after the Nate Oates Kentucky saga, I think the money is there to entice Mark Sears and Cliff Amari to come back. Mark Sears come back and Cliff Amari to come initially. If you miss out on Amari, you got Jonas Adu, the Tennessee forward, the Tennessee 5, who has played SEC basketball, who has apparently been on Alabama's radar since he's gone into the transfer portal. Look, it sounds like 3, 4, 5, 6 different who's who schools have contacted or have gotten in on Jonas Adu. I think if you're Alabama, if you're Nate Oates, you're looking at Amari or Adu and you're saying, I have to have one of you. Have to. Now, you're probably not going to get both, and you probably don't even want both, but I have to get one of you. Amari, you want to go ahead and sign on the dotted line, or you want to go ahead and commit? We can make it happen. And if he wants to slow play or keep shopping around and Adu wants to commit, I think Adu is not just as good, but a pretty good substitute for Cliff Amari. It doesn't give you as much of the shot blocking, but very big, very physical rebounder, and a decent little shooter, and not a bad free throw shooter as well, an underrated quality of a big man. So those 2 guys, really Alabama's next big targets. You got a couple other guys, big men. If you miss out on Adu, goodness gracious, you don't want to be doing this. If not him, then who? But let's just go down the list. I got two other big men who can help Alabama basketball if Cliff Amore and Jonas Adu end up at other schools. You got Felix Okpara from Ohio State has gone into the transfer portal, and you have Musa Cisse from Ole Miss. Both guys right over the 6'10", 6'11", played Power 5 basketball. Are they as good as Adu and Cliff Amore? No, they're not. They're not. But shoot, would it accomplish the same sort of thing to let Aiden Sherrill slowly develop and play? If Aiden Sherrill's ready to play when the calendar turns in January and it's SEC play, great. You go ahead and move him into the 5. But you just want the luxury of saying, hey, man, maybe the freshman isn't ready. You never know how they're going to transition. You never know how they're like. He's been at Prolific Prep over in California, and so he's playing good competition. But it's not college. It's not college. He's not playing the men who are in college, the juniors and seniors who are in college. I'm sorry. It's just a bit different. It just is physically. So you do want to have the luxury of having him not start, having him not have to start. If he starts because he's just better than, you go out and get Cliff Amore and Jonas Adu, and Aiden Sherrill just comes to campus and he's better than them. Well, hell, that's just a luxury in and of itself. But from a physical standpoint, I think you really, really, really have to go into next season with another veteran big on your roster. So that's kind of our basketball kind of look down of the last couple of days of what has happened roster management, roster movement wise. I have Alabama basketball still with 2 spots remaining because, yes, I have Mark Sear still written into my roster for 2024. I have Grant Nelson not on my roster for 2024. Again, I absolutely can be wrong, but that's kind of where we are with Alabama basketball. 2 spots left to fill, and really, I think you have to fill one of those 2 spots with Cliff Amore this weekend or Jonas Adu as soon as you can get him into town. Look, you sell him on, hey, you move into the good side of the rivalry. Nobody wants to wear that Tennessee orange anyways. I know Rick Barnes is a great man and a great coach, and I deeply respect Rick Barnes as a person and as a coach. But come on, you're going to come to a better basketball program, and Alabama will get you more ready for the NBA. So Jonas Adu, Cliff Amore, one of those guys have got to be wearing crimson next season. Let's talk about one guy who has left Alabama who has found a new home. Sam Walters becomes the first Alabama basketball player who's transferred out of the program to find and announce his new home. Other players have been obviously working on their next destinations, but nothing's come out and been official. Sam Walters visited Ohio. Very interesting. Sam Walters visited Ohio State and Michigan, like literally within days of one another, and has now committed to the University of Michigan. So Sam Walters is going to be singing "Hail to the Victors" and playing for Dusty May. I wonder if Dusty May recruited him when he was at FAU. I bet you he did. I don't know that for sure, but I wonder if he recruited him when he was at FIU, excuse me. Let's see. What do I want? I want Michigan's record last year. They were terrible last year. They were awful last year under Juwan Howard. That's what I want. Yeah. They were awful last year under Juwan Howard. Well, how awful were they? Where's that record? It was terrible, I thought. 2020, yeah. 2022, 23. Is that this year? 22 and 20. That's not right. That's what I want. mgoblue.com. How bad were y'all last season? Let's see. Schedule. 8 and 24. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, obviously they've hired Juwan Howard, and a lot of their players have gone into the transfer portal. Namari Burnett, are you gone? You're certainly gone, aren't you? Namari Burnett, that was his last year. Yeah, graduate student. So he only had the 1 year left anyway. So Sam Walters not joining anybody really, and I'm 90% sure that pretty much everybody on this roster transferred out. So it's going to be really Sam Walters. Great opportunity to go into the Big Ten and I guess find yourself starting at the 3 or the 4. I know he's upset a lot of, not upset, but, people are disappointed to see him go because he was a fun character and a good shooter and a freshman. Just a sign of the times in college basketball. Will he make it up at the Big Ten? They got to be it can't be much worse than 8 and 24. I wish Sam Walters the best, but I think that I think Coach Oates has gone into the transfer portal and upgraded with Chris Youngblood, and you still have those couple more spots to fill. So Sam Walters becomes the first Alabama basketball player to go into the portal and find a new home and announce that new home. Sam Walters going to join Dusty May and the Michigan Wolverines. Where am I at my notes? Alabama's new kicker, Aiden Holloway, McDonald's All-American, sold a dream by my coach. Mark Sears, Jeff Goodman comments, returning if he's not a top 40 pick. Oh, let's go to this. NFL draft. Yep, that's my next one. NFL draft. Who are you most excited to see get drafted? On Thursday is the first round, and it's kind of snuck up on me a little bit this year, just because, thankfully, we've been so busy with Alabama basketball that it's gotten us to and through draft season. First round is this week, starts at 7 Central. And I'll be live on my other channel, Believe in Monsters podcast, with my friend Chris Krogman and Lucas Berry, talking about it from a Chicago Bears perspective. But this is from really an Alabama perspective. Who are you most excited to see get drafted? You've got a lot of, look, Thursday's going to be fun because Terrion Arnold, Kool-Aid McKinstry, J.C. Latham, Dallas Turner are all likely to get drafted. 4 Alabama guys, I would put money, if I had $1 to spare, I would put that $1 on all 4 guys getting drafted. I'm very curious about Chris Braswell if he'll get snuck in at that 30, 31, 32. I doubt it, but I think there's a small possibility that he will. What I'm most intrigued about is J.C. Latham. Look, Dallas Turner is probably going to be your first Alabama defender taken, and Dallas Turner is in the mix to be the first defender overall taken. It's Dallas Turner, it's Jared Verse, and it's Byron Murphy. All 3 guys, defensive linemen, are in that mix, that 7 through 12, that 7 through 15, that 6 through 16 range of the first defender to be taken. Will it be Dallas Turner? Will he be the first defender chosen in this year's NFL draft? A lot of smoke with Dallas Turner going to the Atlanta Falcons at the number 8 overall pick, and I think that'd be a great fit for him. But I'm most interested in where J.C. Latham ends up, because J.C. Latham is such an interesting prospect to me. J.C. played 3 years at right tackle here at the Capstone. Obviously, he was one of Alabama's leaders along the offensive line last year, and, he's wearing that TK Trench King chain. He was part of that. We're going to bring the physicality back to the Alabama offensive line, and at times there was that, but at times that certainly lacked. JC, I don't want to say blew up, but blew up to 370 pounds last year. Now he's down to 340. 330, in that 320 to 340 range. He's lost a lot of weight to get ready for the NFL draft. I am curious. Will he be a right tackle in the league? Will he be flipped to left tackle in the league? That's what he wants. Flip me to left tackle, pay me a lot of money. And good on you. Or will he be bumped inside to guard? I'm just talking from our own perspective. You look at the Chicago Bears and people, he's probably, look, the Bears are drafting at number 9. Probably going to trade back. But people are saying, oh, that number 9 pick might be a great chance to take a tackle. Might be a great chance to take J.C. Latham. And people have been talking about, oh, can the Bears or any NFL draft, any NFL program move J.C. Latham from right tackle inside the guard? Is he more suited to play guard because of maybe a lack of power from the tackle position? Struggles converting when the edge rushers go speed to power. He's an interesting prospect to me because I think that he is one of the better offensive linemen in the draft. You got Talise Fuaga, you got Joe Alt, you've got the kid out of Olufashanu out of Penn State, and J.C. Latham. You got those 4 guys are basically the best tackles, the best offensive linemen in this draft. And I think everybody sees them differently. There was a time where Joe Alt was seen as a first guy off the board. You cannot miss him. He's going to be number 3. The Patriots are going to take him as the number 3 overall pick. Now that's changed. You had Olufashanu, Penn State guy. He's the can't miss tackle. How he's going to be taken with a top 5 pick? You can't miss him. J.C. Latham had his turn as well he's the best offensive lineman in the class. I've got 4 spots. Look, he's not going number 9 to my Chicago Bears. We're throwing that out the window. I've got 3 or 4 spots that I think J.C. Latham can get drafted. I think you might be surprised and see J.C. Latham drafted at number 5 overall by the Los Angeles Chargers. I think that Jim Harbaugh wants to reestablish the offensive line and physicality with the Chargers, and how better to do that than with one of the best linemen in the class. I think that he would be a good little fit there with the Chargers, but I also caveat that by saying I think that's a bit too high for him. I think the Chargers will end up trading down and or taking Joe Alt instead. There's a little bit of, I know you've got Justin Herbert out there, and he's obviously very, very talented, but there's silly rumors that Jim Harbaugh wants to get his quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, under center and trade Justin Herbert. So the Chargers are a complete wild card right now under new regime, Jim Harbaugh. I think that's the first realistic place for him to get drafted. You're not getting drafted number 1 by the Bears. Thank you. That's Caleb Williams. You're not getting drafted number 2 by the Commanders. That's likely going to be Jaden Daniels. You're not going to get drafted number 3 by the Patriots. That's either going to be Drake May or maybe they draft Joe Alt. But I think 4 is going to be a wild card with the Cardinals. They'll probably take Marvin Harrison Jr. And then 5 is your first place where J.C. Latham, you can talk yourself into. J.C. Latham fits at number 5 with the Los Angeles Chargers. My next place is also an intriguing spot that has a lot of needs on the offensive side of the football. I think number 10, the New York Jets, are a very viable spot for J.C. Latham. Look, you've seen, obviously, they've gone kind of all in with Aaron Rodgers. Let's look at the Jets. Let's look at the Jets, the Jets offensive line real quick. The Jets up front, all right, Tyron Smith. Oh yeah, they signed Tyron Smith to play left tackle. All right, that's a good move. He's not going to go and play left tackle. And they got Morgan Moses to play right tackle. Now both these guys, older guys. And hopefully, ideally, they hold up for Aaron Rodgers, but you never know. Elijah Vera Tucker playing right guard, Joe Tipton playing center, and John Simpson playing left guard. That's a place that you can slide him in and say, hey, JC, use your athleticism and learn left guard because we're starting a UDFA. John Simpson in front of Aaron Rodgers. Now, I think it's more likely that they draft Brock Bowers and or trade back to try to scoop up some more value. But I think J.C. Latham, number 10 overall to the New York Jets, is probably that next most likely option. Now, my last spot, I got the Raiders at 13. Let's look at their offensive line as it stands today. Las Vegas Raiders, look at you messing that up, but Google helping you anyways. Left tackle Colton Miller, first round draft pick in 2018, right? Yep. Thayer Mumford playing right tackle. You're playing a 7th round draft pick at right tackle. Okay, that's your spot right there. The Raiders. And you're going to end up protecting Aiden O'Connell. I mean, goodness gracious, the Raiders are in such a terrible spot. You gotta get a quarterback if you're the Raiders. Are you going to play Aiden O'Connell? So you're going to trade up and get what? Michael Penix, or are you going to stay back and let Michael Penix fall to you? Look, that's the biggest problem or biggest issue with JC. JC's in this weird spot where you got 4 tackles who all are lovable tackles. We just outlined them. Talise Fuaga, Joe Alt, Olufushanu, and J.C. Latham. You got 4 tackles who are quality tackles. And so, okay, you got to look at the teams that need offensive linemen. They also subsequently have other needs as well. You look at the Raiders; they're freaking terrible. Oh my gosh, you're gonna tell me that you're starting running back? I mean, look, I know Zamir White was a good running back at Georgia. Alexander Madison, they ran the treads off of him, as the backup running back in Minnesota. They have nothing offensively outside of Devontae Adams. You look at Devontae Adams, great wide receiver. Oh, Jacoby Myers, average as all get out. Trey Tucker, average as all get out. You look at their tight end, Michael Mayer, okay, good little player out of Notre Dame, but nothing on offense. And so you think, great, that's a fit for J.C. Latham, but would they rather trade up and get a Malik Neighbors, trade up and get one of these quarterbacks? It's this conundrum where what's J.C. Latham's real value to these to these programs? Is it more valuable to go out and get a right tackle who can play left tackle or can move inside? He doesn't really seem JC doesn't have it isn't blue chip defined to, oh, Marvin Harrison Jr., he's a wide receiver. He's the best wide receiver in the draft. That's what he's going to be. JC can be a lot of different things. And at this point, is the versatility an asset or is it really a detriment? Because he's not really, I guess, is he the best right tackle in the draft? Maybe, but you could make that argument for others as well. I think that the versatility, once he's in the league, is going to be the program, the organization that drafts him is going to be thrilled with it. They're going to say, great, we got a lineman who can play 3 different positions and play all of them fairly well, I believe. But right now in the draft, I think you're looking at him and you're thinking, we don't know what this guy is. And because you don't know really what he is, or you're having a hard time defining who and what his fit will be, I think it hurts his value in the draft, and therefore he's going to slide down. Now, I think he's going to be in the first round. Yes, he's absolutely a first-round pick. He's going to be taken on Thursday night. But will he be taken at number 5 by the Chargers? I don't think so. I think it might. 13 by the Raiders. We just outlined how many needs by the Raiders. They might move up. Look, the Raiders might move up to the Bears pick at number 9, to be perfectly frank with you. I think the Bears are looking to trade down a little bit. Then the Raiders are perfect fit. And so there's a lot of teams. Look, you look through the middle of the teams. Where am I at? The Raiders 13, Saints 14. That'd be a good spot. Colts 15. That'd be a good spot. Seahawks 16. Jags at 17. Bengals at 18. And Rams at 19. I think JC's going to go in that 10 to 20 range. But JC's the most intriguing Alabama prospect, first round prospect for me. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for on Thursday night. Let's finish this up with a random topic. What did you do on Saturday night? I did not buy Ryan Garcia and Devin Hanney because I thought it was going to be absolutely a joke. And I'm scrolling on Twitter. I'm scrolling on social media after Saturday night. As Saturday night is waning down. And I'm just all in awe. I couldn't go to sleep. I was in shock. Obviously, Ryan Garcia beat Devin Hanney. If you're not familiar with this is boxing. This is boxing, and they're fighting at what, 140, 142, 143. Ryan Garcia missed weight, and he paid Devin Hanney $1.5 million because he missed weight. And this whole thing was just fascinating to me for many reasons. One, I like combat sports. I enjoy them. They're a lot of fun. I wrestled through middle school and high school and enjoyed that personally. But two, the added layers of personality of Ryan Garcia's crazy. Oh, Ryan Garcia is schizophrenic. Oh, Ryan Garcia has a drug problem. Oh, Ryan Garcia is unwell. And then to turn around and win the fight. Oh, was Ryan Garcia trolling? Was Ryan Garcia acting? Is he really mentally troubled? Everything that, as it played out, was just absolutely fascinating to me. And then, and from a personal standpoint, you may want to turn the program off at the right here, but if it bothers you. But and then the extra layer of the religious aspect from Ryan Garcia and Devin Hanney. Obviously, Devin Hanney, a devout Muslim, and I respect that. Good for you. Ryan Garcia sitting up there, praise God, thank you, Jesus, over and over and over again, but on the other vein, using every single curse word in the book. So he's showing you two different pictures. He's showing you, I'm a crazy person. I might be mentally unwell. I'm drinking beer at my weigh-in. I'm not taking this seriously. I get he's putting off that he wasn't taking it seriously. But in the other vein, thanking God for the opportunity, thanking God for his talents, thanking God for his skills, and really just thanking God for his protections. It was fascinating to me. The dynamics of what was real and what is not. I was personally moved. Look, I wasn't really a Devin Hanney fan or a Ryan Garcia fan. Now, look, boxing is the least favorite, my least favorite of the combat sports. I love combat sports. I like them all. Really, UFC is probably number one, and you might laugh at it, but it's not a sport. I enjoy pro wrestling because of the cinematic aspect, really. But I understand it's not a sport. But boxing is really the third out of that for me. So I'm not really into this. But just the craziness of Ryan Garcia made me think, why are they? Well, what is he doing? And obviously, it was a work. It got me intrigued in the fight. It made me even think about buying the fight. Whereas, any other boxing match, I'm not really even thinking about. The last boxing match I bought personally was Mayweather and McGregor, because I just love the crazy person that Conor McGregor was. I was moved, one, because Ryan Garcia won. I was moved because either he was acting the entire time, which is challenging in and of itself, to get people to buy the fight and get intrigued in the fight, which is talented in and of itself, and then he went on and put on a great performance, or it was all real, and he is struggling with mental demons, and he is struggling with drugs, and he is struggling with alcohol, and he is struggling with his own place in the world after divorce, struggling with women. Honestly, we'll be honest about everything. And then to go out and have that performance, to where honestly, it should have been a 7th round knockout. The ref was very favorable in Devin Hanney's corner. It should have been a knockout. He performed so well that, I've been dealing with all this debaucherous stuff. I've been dealing with divorce. I've been dealing with mental health issues. I've been dealing with drugs and alcohol. I've been dealing with my own, holes and demons. But God enables him or protects him to such a point to where he performs at a really high level on a world stage. And then Ryan Garcia goes out and praises God for his efforts. Now, look, and I admit, in the same breath, in the same comments where he's saying praise God, praise God, praise God, he's also talking about drinking beer and being with women, and you guys say I'm crazy, and I'm going to beat this guy up next, and I'm going to beat that guy up next. It was, and you may not agree with it, and that's fine. But to me, it was and please feel free to jump in and comment if you don't agree with it. But to me, it was such a picture of what authentic, maybe, Christianity is. I mean, look, you see, and you think of the American Christian, and you think, tie, buttoned up, nice church, 9-to-5 job, a productive member of society, doing the right things, and basically keeping it low key, not being a crazy person. I think that's what most people think of when they think, this guy's Christian, this girl's Christian. But Ryan shows you his mess the entire 6 to 8 weeks of this camp. And whether it was a work, whether it was a show, whether it wasn't really who he was, it was an aspect of, you got to draw from somewhere. Some of it, not all of it can be acting. Some of it has to be valid. You got to be pulling inspirations from some corner of your brain and of your heart. I was moved with the fact that, I don't know, and maybe this is just me, but I was moved by, oh my gosh, this person's messed up. Ryan Garcia has got some issues in his brain that he's working through, and in his heart that he's working through, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, that he's working through. And I don't know where you are. I don't know where you are, and that's okay. You guys may not be here. You girls may not be here. Your life might be perfect. And I will admit, my life doesn't seem as messy as Ryan Garcia's life seemed to me. But I also, have a look. Went through divorce myself a couple years ago and had, mental hurdles, and we deal with it all the time. For me to see Ryan Garcia put on the stage, the world stage, and look, by all intents and purposes, the reason I didn't buy the fight was I thought, Devin Haney's going to knock him out in 3 rounds. It's not going to be entertaining. He's not taking this fight seriously. There's no reason for me to buy it because he's going to go out there with his brain all in 5 different places, and he's going to get knocked out, and it's going to be ugly. You proved me wrong. And really, I think that God used him. And you can debate that. You can say, no, obviously. You can debate that. That's fine. But my perspective is God said, I'm going to use this guy who's got a lot of mess. He's dealing with a lot of mess. But he's also going to turn around and say, praise God, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. And basically, he said, I went out and drank every night. Not every night, but most nights. I went out and drank a lot during this camp. But God helped me to put on this performance. God protected me to put on this performance. I think that's beautiful. And maybe you disagree. Look, obviously, we want our competitors and our athletes not on drugs and not on alcohol. Not. I mean, obviously, enjoy the drink on your own time if you want to make that decision. But what is the saying? In moderation. And so, obviously, you want the heroes, the celebrities to be that. But I think that Ryan Garcia showed you, or at least he helped. He showed me a bit that, hey, you might be dealing with some mess. You might be dealing with, overcoming different things. You might be working through some problems. But God will still use you, and God will still put you on a platform, and you can still really be effective, and you can excel in your own fields if you put him first. And so it was a real lesson for me. It was a real perspective shifter for me. And so I appreciate that, Ryan Garcia. Now I might go by your next fight because of it. I do still think it's your mental approach to everything was absolutely fascinating, but just from a spiritual perspective, I was moved, and I appreciate that. And so I know that's not really Alabama centric and Alabama sports centric, but it's the Joe Gaither Show, and I'm going to talk about whatever really I want to talk about, and we'll save the off the wall stuff till the end like we did on this episode. I appreciate everybody who's watched us today. If you didn't like what I had to say, that's a-okay. You can jump in on the comments, tell me I am wrong, tell me I am a fool, in whatever way that you'd like to, at Joe Gaither 6 on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Snapchat, whatever social media that you, on TikTok, whatever social media that you like, it's at Joe Gaither 6. This is the Joe Gaither Show. You watched us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on Amazon. You can subscribe, rate, and review the show. You can download it, and you can tell a friend about the show. We're going to be spreading our wings a little bit. The Walsh Writing Network is getting into other websites. We're going to be appearing on other websites as well. So we're excited about spreading our wings, maybe bringing a friend into the show on a permanent basis. In the future, things are moving. Stick with us right here on the Joe Gaither Show. We'll be back for another episode right here on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. This is the Joe Gaither Show.
Thanks for joining us on today's edition of the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. Keep up with Joe on all his social media pages at Joe Gaither 6. Subscribe, rate, and review the show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and be sure to read us daily at BamaCentral.com.